welcome back to Passions Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the soap opera Passions. Welcome to part 2 of last week's episode. I haven't decided the episode title yet, but welcome to part 2. Obviously, maybe you noticed that we are all in the same clothes. That's because we're doing this all in one day, and I'm just going to break it up into 2 parts. Yep. So we're still talking about episodes. What were the numbers? Let me look at my 3. Oh my God, God forbid. We are talking about episodes 836 through 840, correct? Yes. And before we jump into these episodes, gonna just give a shout out to all the patrons over on Patreon. Thank you to Muna Shay, Lisa, Zach, Sid, Sarana, Randall, Hannah, Camelia, Jeanette, Eric, Fantasia, Sean, S, Larissa, Maria, Lisa, Jessica Jean, Laura, Karen, Uche, Justin, Paige, Casey, Garage, Tom Bergeron, Daisy, Shane, Kelly, who's with us today as well, Taylor Harris Crane, DJ, Kelly, and Rodo. Thank you all so much for continuing to be patrons and hanging out with us. If you want to become a patron, go over to patreon.com/passionspodcast and sign up for whatever tier you find most agreeable. And with that, it's time to talk about these other 2 storylines that we did not get to in last week's episode. Yes. So we're picking up with Magic. Let me find my music. All right, the Magic storyline. So I'm just making sure I've actually hit record because I just had like a nightmare feeling that I like never hit the record button, but I did. All right, Magic. So this week there's much to talk about in the way of Kay.
Oh my God.
And I'm excited to just dig right in on all of this. You know, this girl, I find Kay to be such an interesting character. Like, she's so simple yet complicated, right? Like, her want is so simple, but then and she's so villainous. She really is. She's doing like all of these really kind of terrible things, but the way she kind of rationalizes it almost makes me say, yeah, you know what? All right. And I still, and on top of that, I'm like, I like don't like Charity. So it's like, it makes it easier for me to root for her.
Yeah.
I've always been, when like you talk about it all the time, Charity versus Kay, you know, I've always been Team Kay. I've never really cared for Charity, the actress. It's nothing against her. It's just, she's very one note.
Yeah. Well, Kay is very multi-layered.
Yes, completely.
Yeah. Well, is she multi-layered? She has like
she has a one-track mind, but multi-layered of like her tactics versus the reasoning, the past, her mom's influence.
Okay.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot of factors. There's a lot of factors. Because I don't know how layered Kay really is. I don't. But there are a lot of factors. There's a lot of things to consider in her situation. Yeah. But like Kay, her main purpose is pretty much always just like get Miguel. And then her secondary layer is that she does love her family, and I do think she is conflicted. At least she was conflicted about like her mom. Now she's just like decided to make an enemy of her mom, right? Like she's just like, no, I'm enemy. I love my dad. I hate my mom, and that's what it is. So I don't know. Kay's an interesting character. So let's talk about it. So we pick up in the hospital, where remember that Charity, she just recently got Timmy's heart. So everybody's worried about like her physical state, her physical well-being. Not everybody. Kay's not worried about it.
Oh, no, she doesn't care.
Kay's not worried about it. But, you know, there's this debate over whether Miguel should tell Charity the truth about him sleeping with Kay because she's in such a fragile state. This basically kind of what they're doing with Antonio. So Simone says something to Kay about like, you need to have a conscience, Kay. Do you even have a conscience? And Kay says, I found having a conscience to be highly overrated. And it just was like, you go, girl. And so they're waiting for Miguel to tell Charity the truth. We pick up and Miguel supposedly is about to tell Charity the truth about everything.
And Kay is so giddy about it too. She just can't wait.
Because a reminder, in her mind, last week it was like, oh, he's not telling her the truth because he loves me. It was weird, but that's what she was saying. And then it turned into, well, if he does tell her the truth, like it's going to blow up their relationship. And maybe, and I wonder if she thinks it's going to kill Charity because Tabitha thinks it might kill Charity. So I wonder if maybe it's not that she thinks it'll kill her, but she doesn't care if it harms her physically, like if she takes physical damage from taking this.
She has no concern for her health or well-being.
None whatsoever. Right. None whatsoever. She said, Charity is not my concern.
Nope, not at all. She was willing to put her on a block of ice. She attempted to kill her a few times.
I'm the reason she's even in this hospital.
Also true.
Yeah. She needed that heart because of me. So
yeah.
Yeah. So Kay.
She's the reason Timmy's dead.
Yeah. In a way. I mean,
he wouldn't have gone on that journey if it wasn't to save Charity.
He wanted to save Charity, and she's the one that put Charity in the block of ice. So yeah, 100%. You're right. Yep. Kay's a killer. She's a stone cold killer.
Indirectly, though. Has
but
she ever tried to directly
I wouldn't put past her to do it directly either, because she definitely tried to kill Charity early on when they were on the mountain. There was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember it was like during the avalanche thing when they ended up in the ended up in like some kind of lodge or like cabin. It was like a little cabin thing, and Miguel was dying. Was Miguel dying?
Yeah, Miguel was dying.
It doesn't matter. She definitely has tried to kill Charity a couple of times. Yeah. And then she changed her tune to like, I just want to get her out of the way. But she was trying to kill her. At one point, she was going to let a train hit her. I remember that.
Oh my!
That was very early on.
Yes, that was very early on.
Yeah. So anyway, Miguel is about to tell Charity the truth, but instead he stops short and he says, you know what? There is something I want to say to you. And then he like gets down on one knee and he starts to propose. He looks like he's about to propose. Of course, Simone and Kay are watching from outside, and Kay's like, oh, I have to stop this. Simone's like, no, you don't, Kay. And she like holds her back. And so Miguel does ask the question, will you marry me? Charity says yes. And then Kay rushes inside and they tell her all about it. Like, okay, isn't it amazing? Miguel just proposed. We're going to get married. And Kay, I really want you to be my maid of honor. Okay. I mean, I guess.
I mean, Charity doesn't really have any other friends.
Yeah, she doesn't.
She doesn't.
Kay makes it. Actually, though, I think Jessica makes more sense than Kay does.
Jessica would make more sense, yes.
Yeah. But Kay, it would be between Kay and Jessica, so okay. But yeah, she wants her to be her maid of honor, and then she's like, I want to have the wedding as soon as possible, and they decide they want to have a Christmas time wedding. It's coming up soon, and she asks Kay like, what do you want your bridesmaids dress to look like? You want it to be red or green? I don't know.
Like, we're already talking about dress colors. And you're still in the hospital.
You're still in the hospital, girl. You're still in the hospital. What are you talking about getting married? So Kay then pulls Miguel out of the room and demands to know why he proposed to Charity. She's like, why did you do that? Why did you just propose to Charity? And he says, you know what? It's because of what you said to me, Kay. You inspired me when you said that Charity and my love wasn't strong enough to roll with whatever punches came our way. But I know it is. And thanks to you, now I'm going to prove it. So just a reminder that Kay had said to Miguel, she was like, I know why you're not telling Charity the truth. You're not telling her the truth because you don't think that your love is strong enough to handle it. So for whatever reason, Miguel took that information, went inside, still didn't tell Charity the truth, but decided to propose to her. And somehow that's to prove to Kay and everybody else, I guess, that his love for Charity is as strong as he wants it to be or thinks it is. Makes no sense.
None.
Makes no logical sense. But Miguel is maybe the dumbest fucking person on the show. I
More
know,
than Antonio?
I know we've discussed this at length about who's the stupidest. God, between Antonio and Miguel, it's a toss up. Sometimes it is, especially as we go further down in these notes with Kay and Miguel's conversation. Yeah. So he says, no, thanks to you. Thank you, Kay. You gave me the idea to propose so that I can prove that our love can roll with whatever punches come our way. Oh, that doesn't make any sense, but fine. So then Miguel tells her that he plans to tell Charity, he is going to tell Charity the truth, right? Because Kay's like, well, what about what happened between you and I? Like, are you just never going to tell her the truth? Am I supposed to lie about this for the rest of my life? And he says, no, I'm going to tell Charity the truth, but after I marry her. He says, before I tell Charity, I want to marry her. That way, there won't be any doubts about my love for her. And then he goes on to say, you're the reason that I realized it was time to propose to Charity. Thank you, Kay.
Yeah, that's backwards.
Kay's eye is like twitching at this point. She's like, Miguel, no, you're not welcome. Not at all. Like, you're not welcome. Thank you, Kay. No, you're not welcome.
No, and it makes no sense. No. And he took a page out of Theresa's handbook because that's exactly what Theresa was saying when she was engaged to Ethan about telling him about what happened with Julian. I will tell him after we're married because once we're married, he'll never leave me.
He's trapped, right?
Yeah.
That's what they think. That's how is Pilar raising these kids?
Well, because they don't see that Pilar ever divorced her husband. So they're like, it's ironclad once I get him down the aisle.
Yeah, but Martin's long fucking gone.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know?
But she's still married to him.
She's still married to him, but he ain't married to her.
Oh, no. Oh, no. When we find out what actually happened, oh, yeah.
Yeah, so... But yeah, so I hated this, that he's like, I'm not going to tell her the truth now. I'm going to tell her after we're married. No, she deserves to have all of the information. That, yes. You know what? Frankly, that's grounds for an annulment. Like, if you married her and then told her some shit that would have affected her decision to marry you, you can have that annulled because you concealed some very material information from me. Right.
And if they then get married, that's proving that their love was above the truth.
Exactly. That they can that your love can take any punches that come your way. But no, you're trying to trick her into marrying you so that once you're married, you can tell her this thing that you know is going to cause strife in your relationship. But you think she will be forced to work through it with you because y'all are married and you're like super religious about stuff. And so you don't necessarily believe in divorce and you don't think that marriages should end, even if it makes sense for the marriage to end. And he
also shouldn't technically be so afraid to tell her if he still is under the impression that it was sort of against his will, that it was under the influence of magic, that he would have never done it. Like, yeah, Charity might even understand that because she knows the supernatural is real.
she will absolutely understand it, considering what she understands later. I think if he told her all of what you just said, Maria, I think she would be like, it's okay. That's evil. Evil had you, and that's what happens. We have to be vigilant about evil. Yep. I think, So he's going to trick her into marrying him. And just, you know what? Just like you said with Theresa, because Theresa said that, she was going to marry Ethan and then tell him about the stuff with the baby, or Julian. I can't remember.
Julian, the marriage to Julian. Because remember, Ivy had the marriage certificate from Bermuda.
Yes.
And that's when she fucked up the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Ivy has been in that wheelchair forever.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Theresa did that. Miguel's doing this, and Antonio is ambushing Sheridan with a wedding too.
Good point.
Yeah.
What's up with these Lopez Fitzgeralds?
The only one who's somewhat well adjusted is Luis.
Yeah.
And we see that later. I was like, Luis is really being very mature. So we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But what's going on with these what has Pilar taught her children?
Nothing. She's letting them do whatever the fuck
they have raised. They raised each other. They raising each other.
Remember, Luis was actually their example.
Yeah,
he turned into the surrogate dad of the family.
Yeah, but he's more mature than the rest of them. So
he had to work.
He was at work. That's the thing. They were both at work. Miguel and Theresa were very much left to their own devices because Pilar was at work, Luis was at work, and Antonio had fucked off to God knows where, right?
Yeah. And actually, Luis's example, if anything, Luis could have showed them that love isn't everything, because he left Beth for his family. Love didn't trump everything because he didn't marry her.
Yeah. Yeah. I do wonder if he loves Beth. I do wonder about that.
It could be a first crush, innocent kind of love, because weren't they high school sweethearts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but we'll talk about that. We can talk about that in a little bit. Again, we got time today. To expand on things a little bit more. So
and one other note, while they were talking about in the room, they actually did say, now that we're both 18, he tells Charity. So they're 18. They're no longer considered children.
Yeah, they're 18. I think Simone and Jessica are the last two who are minors.
Yes.
Because Simone's about to turn 18. They're talking about that. And obviously Jessica is younger than Kay and Miguel and Charity. So where were we? What were we saying? Miguel, blah, blah, blah. He gonna trick Charity into marrying him. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Kay says, you're not welcome, not at all. And then she explains to him saying, I never thought this day would come. I always thought that it was going to be the two of us, Miguel. I thought that we would be the family. And Miguel says, we will be family. I'm marrying your cousin. We'll always be connected. And once I marry Charity, we'll be even closer. And what could be better than that? Shut up.
And honestly, I really do think Miguel's just saying that.
Yeah.
I don't even, I think he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah. He's being dumb on purpose.
He's being dumb on purpose because he knows how what Kay is talking about. And he's constantly deflecting. It's he's playing dumb. Yeah, we'll be family. It's she loves you and what she's really talking about. So stop.
Miguel is being purposefully obtuse to stay willfully ignorant. He doesn't want to hear what Kay has to say to him. Yeah. I want to remind everyone, Kay has, before we even get to this point in the show, Kay has declared her love for Miguel and explained to Miguel that she wanted to be with him before Charity showed up. And when Charity showed up, it was everything changed. They've had that conversation no less than 3 times. We have seen them kissing no less than 3 times. Okay. Now, And when I say at least 3 times where they kiss, I could be forgetting some too, like that, but just off the top of my head, I can remember them kissing 3 times.
Yeah.
It's at least 3.
Yeah, there's at least 3 times, and they've had this conversation at least 3 times. And Miguel has told, now to be fair, Miguel has told her at least 3 times that he loves Charity, and that if Charity had not come into the picture, then he and Kay probably would have ended up together. However, she did come into the picture. That's not the reality. The reality is Charity is here. I do love her, and that's my girlfriend, and that's what it's going to be. So, you know, because I'm about to rage on Miguel, but I'm trying to be as fair to him as possible.
Yeah. But if you're even the comment of, if she wasn't here, it might have been us.
Could have kept that to yourself.
You're actually admitting that you have feelings for Kay.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't, then you wouldn't have even said that. You would have been like, Kay, we would have always been friends, but I don't see us being more than friends. The fact that you're like, yeah, we would have been together. You're giving this girl the idea that you love her.
Yeah.
You're right. You're absolutely right. He should have kept that to himself. He could have held that back and he said it to her multiple times. And like I said, I'm trying to be as fair to Miguel as possible. It is clear that he has made his choice and who he wants to be with. So he says this dumb shit. I'm marrying your cousin. What could be better than that? Oh my God, shut up. And he said, Kay says to him, you're right, Miguel. We grew up together. We've gone to school together and church together, and we've played sports together. And at one point, you even said you thought that we would end up together. But then Charity came along. And I want to say it wasn't one point. It was multiple times that he said that. And then Miguel says, yeah, Charity came along and that changed everything. And she says, no, it didn't, Miguel, not everything. I still love you. I always have. Now, any reasonable, rational person who hears that knows exactly what that girl is trying to say to them, right? Mm-hmm. If somebody says, no, it didn't, Charity coming to town didn't change everything, I still love you, I always have, your response would not be, well, I love you too, Kay. We're best friends. You know what this girl is trying to say to you. Mm-hmm. You know what this girl is trying to say to you. And he's trying his best to remain obtuse and remain ignorant of it. And so, he's like, no, Kay, I love you too. I mean, we're best friends. We've been best friends since we were kids. I trust you with my life, which you shouldn't. He's a poor judge of character in general. Yeah. He's just stupid. And so she says to him, Miguel, you're not listening to me. I don't love you the way you love a best friend. I love you the way a woman loves a man. Miguel, I am in love with you. I've been in love with you for as long as I can remember. She says this several times. She's like, I love you. I love you, Miguel. And actually, it feels really good to say it, right? To get it off my chest. It's a relief to say it. Miguel says that he didn't know that she loved him, which I guess, except she's told you. She's never been this explicit about it, but she has had this conversation with him where I always wanted us to be together.
Explicit in the mines? Sorry to interrupt.
No, go for it.
Wasn't she explicit about it when they were in the mines together, when they got stuck or whatever? Or did he chalk that up to whatever was...
Oh, they were about to die and...
Yeah.
When they were in the mine shaft, she absolutely was pretty clear with him about it. I don't know if it's ever been this clear, because this time she's really saying, I love you. I'm in love with you. I've always been in love with you for as long as I can remember. She's saying it over and over again to try to drive it home to him. I don't know what she likes about this stupid boy. And in the mine shaft, I think what Kay typically has been doing when they have these conversations is how this conversation started, which is, Miguel, we've known each other all this time. I always thought that we would end up together. I always wanted us to be together. And And I guess what Passions has decided is that every time she had that conversation with him, he was taking it to mean that she wanted them to be close as friends. I guess that's how they're rewriting this. It doesn't work for me, and I'm not gonna let it slide. I'm never gonna let it slide.
No,
because I actually have been raging about this for like 3 years at least, 4 years at least.
Yeah, and I think he knows. I just think he doesn't want to validate her feelings.
He doesn't, because it makes it real.
Yes,
and then he has to contend with what his feelings for Kay are.
Yep.
Because yes, you love Charity, are in love with Charity. She's the woman you're choosing, and I have no problems with that. But as we have talked about on this podcast a lot, you can love more than one person. You can be in love with more than one person. And so he will have to deal with the fact that I love Charity, but I also love Kay, and I'm going to have to make the choice. And it's okay that it's okay that he chooses Charity. I really do not have a problem with that. Charity makes more sense, to be frank. But I don't listen. Y'all know how I feel about Charity. I think she has the personality of a wet mop. But but Miguel loves that wet mop personality.
Yeah,
right.
That's who he loves, and he makes it clear he's not waffling about it at all.
No, and since the moment he saw her, laid eyes on her. When I first saw you, y'all ever seen Dreamgirls? I said, "Oh my, that's my dream." He's Curtis and seeing Dina for the first time. He kind of is Curtis. Have you seen Dreamgirls?
No. So far, you've referenced the only 2 musicals I have not seen.
And they are classics. West Side Story and Dreamgirls. Y'all got to get on it. Y'all really got to get on it.
I will.
Is it on Netflix? I'll look for it on Netflix.
Dreamgirls, it is definitely streaming somewhere. I have it on DVD, so I watch it. I watch my DVD with the special features when I want to watch it. But but Curtis in Dreamgirls, he ends up with he starts out with one of the girls, Effie, but the one he really wanted was Dina, and so he was like between the two of them. So kind of like Miguel here, kinda. I hate Curtis too. So
all right.
So anyway, she tells him this. It's a relief to say it. Miguel says that he didn't know. And I said, I guess we're just rewriting this. That's what I wrote in my notes. I guess we're just rewriting this, and I'm going to try my best to accept the things I cannot change.
Yeah.
And Kay says, Miguel, how could you not have seen it? How could you not have seen what you meant to me all these years? Wasn't I there for you when you needed it? Didn't I always listen to you and comfort you when you needed it? I agree with Kay to an extent. It's like, yeah, how did you not see it? Again, because we've been having these conversations over the years.
Over.
But Miguel says, I didn't know. I always knew that I had the best friend a guy could ask for, but I just never thought I really didn't know. Okay. I'm sorry. He says, I didn't know. I'm sorry.
I also want to know, how is she your best friend? Like, I haven't seen best friend energy.
These two
she just hangs around. Like, she doesn't offer advice. She I don't get this whole that's my best friend.
Yeah.
He seems closer to Reese.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning they said that Reese was his best friend in the beginning. And then they also said that he and Kay were very close, and now she's like turned into his best friend. So he says he didn't know, and she says, how could you not know? And then Miguel says, no, I swear I didn't know. I knew I always had the best friend a guy could ask for, but I'm so sorry I didn't know. And she says, I don't think you wanted to see it, Miguel. She says, you're not blind and you're not insensitive. I think you knew all along, and you just liked keeping me around just in case things didn't work out with Charity.
That is really good analysis. And I don't think she's wrong.
I don't think she's wrong either.
This is such an interesting thing to kind of talk about, and we can talk through it, because is Kay actually being very manipulative here, right? Is she using Miguel's guilt as it pertains to her in this situation to like push him even further into feeling bad enough to either tell Charity the truth or like break up with Charity altogether and choose her, or at least kind of choose her for the time being, right? Just to try to maybe make her feel better. I don't know. While I do kind of agree with Kay, right? I do think Miguel just didn't want to see it. I don't know if Kay believes that though. I don't know.
I think it's like 50-50 almost.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I also do agree that if something were to happen to Charity, she is his backup.
Yeah, 100%.
She's his Beth. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. She's his Beth. And so I agree with what Kay is saying. I don't think you wanted to see it because you're not a blind person. You're not insensitive. You can see what's right in front of you. And she has been clear with him. That's the thing. She has shown him that at least that she really likes him in a romantic sense, right?
Yeah.
Maybe she never told him that she was deeply, madly in love with him, but she definitely told him she had feelings for him.
Exactly.
Romantic feelings for him. So
and he had to have known, because if he hadn't known, why isn't he even bringing up Reese, who is supposedly her boyfriend? Like he doesn't even come up in the conversation of like, but what about Reese? And Reese is my best friend, or like entering the conscious.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Maria, I have no problems with them leaving Reese out of this. Actually,
I get that.
If he had brought up Reese, I would have yelled. Actually, I was already yelling, but I would have been so upset because as I have said time and time again, there is no indication that Kay has any feelings for Reese. Like we never see these two people together ever.
But they're constantly saying it, and Reese is constantly referencing it.
So I was actually glad that they left that. I'm hope that's one thing they can just write off. Like that's one thing they can just forget about, and I would be okay with it. I would be okay with it, and I would never bring it up. I would be like, yeah, I guess we have forgotten about that, and I'm fine with that. I hope that's what they're doing. I hope that's why Reese did not come up in this conversation, because that is a very good point that Reese didn't come up in this conversation, and I really hope that they have just decided to write that out of the story entirely. Please, God, give me something.
Because I don't remember what happens with them in their quote unquote relationship. So I hope
I think eventually Reese hooks up with Jessica for a little bit.
I think so.
Yeah, he ends up with
Jessica definitely has a crush on him.
Yeah, she really likes Reese. And they make sense together to me.
They do.
Yeah. So, and it's crazy because she's the one who like tricked him into thinking that Kay was his girlfriend. Jessica was.
Yeah.
So well, she did it to herself.
It was before she got feelings for him.
She did it to herself. Okay. So Kay says, I think you didn't want to see it, and you just wanted to keep me in the background and keep me here, keep me hanging on, just in case things didn't work out with Charity. And he's like, no, that's not true. I would never do that to anybody. You have to believe me. I never led you on. Never. The kissing. Yeah. The kissing can definitely be construed as leading on. I'm sorry. It can. Oh, yeah. Now, I will say, Kay does not use any of the previous things that happened as evidence against Miguel, which she could have and should have. She only talks about them sleeping together, which she knows that she set up. She knows that she manipulated that. She knows that he thought that she was Charity, and she understands that she was the one that created that situation. So I can't defend her in this. Unfortunately, I could if she would bring up the times when they were kissing. I could be like, tell him that, and But she comes up with well, you slept with me and that was leading me on. It's like, no, you raped that man.
Yeah, he told you a billion times, I thought you were Charity.
You assaulted that man.
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, I don't know why it doesn't ever come up. Now, they could very easily write this off, but I don't know why it never comes up that they were having sex in Charity's room and Charity's bedroom, in her bed. He called her Charity.
Yep.
It doesn't come up. And like, and if it did come up, she could say, well, if the evil was affecting you that way, it was affecting me separately. And when you said Charity, I thought you were saying Kay, you never said Charity to me. Like she could absolutely write it off as like the evil. Mm-hmm. But if she did that, if she started to write it off as the evil, then she has to concede to Miguel saying like, well, I didn't know it was you. Right. But no, she's really clinging on to that they slept together, even though she assaulted him, and that he was leading her on with that. She says that he told her he loved her, and he points out, I thought that you were Charity. And Kay just lays the guilt on him thick, saying, because he said something about the evil, and it was, and she's like, oh, you're blaming me, you're calling me evil. And he's like, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. He's like, that's basically what you're trying to say, because you said it was the evil that made you sleep with me, and that I set that all up. Yes, you did, girl.
You did. you did.
She is gaslighting the fuck out of him.
She really is.
And she really lays it on thick with Miguel, the guilt, the crying, the shaking. And yes, I know she is hurt. I do believe that Kay legitimately is hurt by the fact that Miguel slept with her. But what she's hurt about is not that he slept with her and is still with Charity. I mean, she is hurt about that. But it's really because she sincerely thought that once he had sex with her, that he would forget all about Charity. But as we said over and over again, the problem with that whole fucking plan was he thought he was having sex with Charity.
Yeah. So if your JJ was that good, you just gave Charity credit.
Exactly. Exactly. You think now he just thinks if it really was that good, he just equates it with Charity.
Yeah.
Right, because that's his memory. His memory is sleeping with Charity, not you. Sleeping with Charity in Charity's bed in Charity's bedroom.
Yeah, like wait until he actually sleeps with her and realizes that she sucks, and is like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go back to Kate because she's better at it.
Yeah. So she's guilting him, and he says to her, I can't lie to you and say that I wanted to be making love to you, Kay, because she was really upset that he didn't find it as beautiful as she did, right? And that he's saying that it was a mistake, and that that they were victims, and she hates this. She hates that he feels this way.
Yeah,
he says,
which is why I don't understand why he's still acting dumb. All the things she was saying. She wasn't saying she was under the influence of evil. She wasn't saying that she regretted it. She didn't say that she didn't know what she was doing. Miguel, she likes you.
She likes you. Loves you, in fact.
Loves you.
Loves you, in fact.
Well, I mean, is it real love?
Is it real love? That's another thing we can kind of talk about and expand on, because, is it real love? And I think we can talk about that with, like, a lot of the characters, right?
Yeah.
Most of them, really. Like, does Simone really love Chad? Right?
No.
Are you really in love with Chad? What'd you say, Kelly?
She doesn't really know Chad. Like,
yeah, we don't see them spend much time together. She saw his face, and wow, when she saw his face, that's a throwback to way back on the podcast, because she saw him and she just went, wow. So, and ever since then, she's just been smitten with him. But he has been spending all of his quality time with Whitney.
Charity.
I was talking about Simone. So, but the same thing that goes along the lines here. This is a little bit different because Kay absolutely knows Miguel inside and out. There's no way around it. The 100%. Way they talk about how they have been best friends their whole lives and done so many things together. So she definitely actually knows Miguel. So I do think she loves Miguel. I do. I actually,
that's a valid point.
I have talked myself into.
There's history there.
No,
it's not like It's not like she never knew him and then all of a sudden decided she was in love with him, like Theresa.
Right.
But
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. No.
But yeah, no, they did grow up together, so there was affection there. So
I think there's real love. I do believe there is very real love there. But there's also the caveat that this also feels like obsession, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels unhealthy. It is.
It is unhealthy. She took advantage of him. It's completely and against his will. Like he couldn't be any clearer that no.
Yeah, the lengths she is willing to go to try to make him love her the same way she loves him is dangerous, right? She's kind of a menace.
Oh yeah, she's lost her soul. She made deals with evil people. She's done spells.
Kay has proven to us that there's nothing she won't do to get Miguel, to try to end up with Miguel, in a relationship with Miguel. And actually, I think she and Ivy have like done the worst things for a man in this show at this point right now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's between her and Ivy. And I actually am leaning towards Kay is worse because she got her house dragged to hell and sold her soul. That's a lot. That's a tall order.
And kind of raped them. I mean,
Ivy absolutely raped him.
Ivy hasn't quite raped Sam. She's drugged Grace. Like she drugs everyone else but him.
She drugged Grace. She drugged Whitney. She's blackmailing David and Eve and using John as a pawn. It's all horrible. It's all heinous. But I think Kay's shit is worse.
Yeah, I think so.
I think what Kay has done is worse.
She set the Lopez Fitzgerald's house on fire.
Yeah, she set the Lopez Fitzgerald house on fire. Yeah. The things she's done in the pursuit. I will say
she's destroyed 2 homes.
I don't agree. She's the destroyer. The destroyer of homes. Kay Bennett and never gets caught.
No.
This girl she's and the Teflon.
She solves everything and Sam believes everything. Oh, Kay said it. It's true.
It's true. This girl's Teflon. It slides right off of her. No case. Yeah. So, anyway, she talks about how sleeping with her was leading her on and that he told her he loved her. And he points out that he thought that he was sleeping with Charity and not Kay. And Kay lays on more and more guilt on him. And that's when he says, I can't tell you I want to be making love to you. And then Kay very tearfully says, you must enjoy hurting me like this, Miguel, because that night we made love, that was the most special night of my life. I gave you my virginity, Miguel. Now, I don't know if Miguel was a virgin too, but I think so, right?
I think he was.
So. Yeah.
I think they've mentioned it, that he was also a virgin.
I don't like that we make such a big deal about girls' virginity, but we don't consider like boys' virginity, and that there's such a double standard about that. 100%. Because all they had to do here is have Miguel say it was my virginity too, and I would have been like, yeah, that's some balance here. But I hate that line really like hurt him. He was like, yeah. Oh, that's horrible. I took your virginity. It's like, but she took yours. She actually took his virginity. Stole it from
force.
Him.
Yeah.
Stole it from him.
Stole it.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So he says, it was all a huge mistake. It must have been some kind of black magic or the work of the devil or something. She gets all upset about his honest feelings, right? Like he's trying to be, I will defend Miguel slightly in this, saying he is at this point being honest with her, and he's truly never been dishonest with her about his feelings about her or about Charity. He keeps telling her, I love you like a friend. I love you as a friend. You're my best friend. I love you as a friend. I am in love with Charity. Charity is the woman, and Charity. Everything's about Charity. And she refuses to listen or accept it. So I can't be too upset with Miguel about him sharing his honest feelings with her and her just refusing to accept that those are his feelings. Right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, she starts feeling poor thing. It's crazy because I have sympathy for her, but I also am like, girl, I don't agree with this at all.
No, it's horrible. And one thing I wish the writers would have put in was like, because we know that if Charity has sex, she comes into her full powers. Kay's also a standish child.
That's always bugged me too since the very beginning. And I mean, same for Jessica too.
Yeah. Yeah. And eventually Kay does get powers, but like, why was it never a thing with Kay having sex for the first time?
Yes, right. I agree. I think that we should have delved deeper into that, or at least brought it up or talked about it. We very easily could have had Tabitha explain why it didn't work, why just having sex with Miguel didn't bring her into her powers or whatever. Or explain that she should have gotten more powers and she just doesn't know that she has gotten this sex power up, right?
Yeah. I love it.
And so, yeah, I will say, I imagine that the reason that Kay doesn't get powers from making love to Miguel is because he thought he was sleeping with Charity and he's not in love with her, with Kay. I think the reason that Charity and Miguel specifically having sex with each other would be so powerful is because of they have true love with each other. So I think because he doesn't have that same level of love for Kay, that maybe that's why the magic doesn't work. I don't know. I agree with you. I think she should have come into some more powers from it. But I think that would have been very interesting and very cool, but they chose not to do that.
Yeah, because we definitely know that Grace has powers. She cursed Ivy.
Yeah. They're all supposed to.
Did they show if Faith had powers before she was killed?
I don't think
so. They didn't show it. They didn't show it, but she told Charity. She did tell Charity that Charity was very powerful and she had a lot of power. So
yeah,
maybe she just wasn't
really needed to tell her. They really needed to tell us who Charity's father is.
That would be very cool. But it's never
because it would have made also sense to explain Kay if we find out that her father was also a warlock. See, Sam doesn't have any powers.
Yeah,
so it would have been half.
It would make more sense that she seems to be more powerful than the other Standish women. But they make such a big deal about Standish women. Yeah. And all of them are Standish women.
Yep.
All of them are.
All
Grace,
of them.
Jessica, Kay, Charity, Faith, all of them are Standish women.
And it would make sense why Tabitha was always keeping a close eye on the Standish women.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just that Charity's last name is Standish. And that's just because she's, to use Kay's favorite word, a bastard. Because she has her mom's last name.
Exactly.
But she is as much Standish as Kay is. So, whatever. Where are we? Black Magic. She tells him she's upset because he said that the evil took over. And so she starts to feel like, she feels so stupid. I feel so stupid and worthless. And she goes on to say, you've been so worried about how Charity's going to take this news, right? But did you ever even worry about me? Did you even stop to think about how I was feeling? You didn't, did you, Miguel? No one does. Not you, not my mom, not anyone. And it's crazy because I know what the fuck Kay did. I know what she did to get herself in this predicament, to get herself into this situation. And yet I sympathize. And yet that speech would have worked on me. Right? Like, that speech would have worked on me.
She's not wrong. She's not wrong. Like, nobody really gives two shits.
Yeah. Nobody gives a shit.
Sam does show her love and affection. I mean, he's caught up with whatever's happening
when
with
he's
Ivy,
there, but I mean,
yeah, when he's there.
In his own.
But then again, he also did turn on her with the whole David grabbing her and everything. He turned around and he got mad at her, even though David was in the wrong.
I will say Grace facilitated that.
Oh, of course, 100%.
Grace facilitated that. He never would have turned on Kay the way he did if Grace hadn't come in and honestly, basically lied. Yeah. Because he came in and Grace was nowhere to be seen, and David had his filthy paws all over Kay and was shaking her up. So
to the point of leaving bruises.
Yeah, he left marks on her arms.
Yeah.
So, Sam does care about her, but he's absent. Sam is let's be clear, Sam is an absent father. So yeah. But Passions is a show that is very much rooted in like gender norms and what gender role norms, right? So the father being absent and being at work and not being like a active parental figure in the kids' lives is normal for Passions, right? For them, they're like, that's how it's supposed to be. But if the mother is either absent or is doing things that maybe don't seem as motherly as they should be, then she's a huge problem, right? We don't really talk enough about, I don't think we talk enough about that in this show, about how skewed the gender roles really are. I mean, none of the parents are winning any fucking gold stars anytime soon for their parenting skills.
Right.
No.
But I do think the men tend to be let off a lot easier. I mean, hell, Martin is gone, disappeared. For like the first 300, 400 episodes, it's all Luis would talk about. It's all Luis would talk about.
Yep.
Right? So.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
So, yeah. Anyway, where was I? Oh, she's upset about, she gives this little speech, nobody cares about me. I'm so worthless. And she says basically, you're accusing me of being evil and saying I'm responsible for everything that happened. And he says, no, that's not true. And then she tells him, I thought that you would forget about Charity after we made love. And he says to her, I could never forget about Charity. I'm going to marry her. And so
direct.
Yeah, he's right. And you know what? I liked that he was saying the words. He needs to say the words to Kay. And I will give that to Miguel. He over Chad, right?
Oh my
Miguel
God,
saying the words. He's saying the words. And honestly, Miguel does love Kay. Maybe not romantically. Maybe he does love her romantically and he needs to deal with that. But he definitely loves her as a friend, right?
Yes.
And he is willing to tell her the truth, even though it might ruin their friendship, even though it might hurt, even though it will hurt her, versus Chad, who doesn't even really care that much about Simone, but is refusing to tell her the truth. So on the one hand, I'm gonna say Miguel is handling this at this point, since we've rewritten it. I'm gonna say Miguel is handling this fairly well.
Yeah, because he's treading lightly, trying not to be vicious to her, but get through to her that he is marrying Charity. Yeah. So I have a note here that says, pick this up after Tabitha. So we will come back to what's going on with Charity. Miguel and Kay and Charity after we talk about what's going on with Tabitha, because we pick up with Tabitha and then eventually she goes to the hospital. So we pick up with Tabitha. She's taking a nap. And Hecuba calls out to Connie. So, Eric, if you were wondering, Hecuba does show up again. Yes.
She's back. And she calls out to Connie from the basement because, remember, Hecuba has been imprisoned in a little I Dream of Jeannie bottle and thrown down into the basement where the boys, the evil demon boys, are. And so she's calling out to Connie, set me free. Connie, we had a deal. And so Connie goes to the basement. she goes down, tells the demons, I need to get this. I'm coming down. So I'm coming to get something. So she goes down, she grabs the bottle, and she tries to release Hecuba. She tries to open it, but she can't get it open.
She's like, ease up, you're making me woozy.
Because she's like shaking it, and Hecuba's inside being thrown around. And so Hecuba tells her, you can't get it open just by trying to pull it open. You need to find Tabitha's special corkscrew it's a corkscrew with bat wings on it. Go find it. She says the Marquis de Sade used it at parties to pop open peasants. It's like, God, Jesus Christ.
That's so extreme.
And that's what makes it so special. And so she tries to open it. Connie can't get she finds the corkscrew and she starts to try to open the bottle, but Tabitha wakes up and finds her with the bottle and takes it from her before she can get it open. And this is when Tabitha, not Tabitha, Hecuba warns Tabitha saying, hey, you need to get over to the hospital right now because Miguel has proposed to Charity and all our evil plans are going to go up in smoke. Everything's going to go up. Goodness will win. Goodness will prevail. So you need to get over there and put a stop to all of this.
Yeah. There was a funny line with Hecuba when she was trying to open the bottle and she's like, oh, lice and lizards and locusts. I loathe working with amateurs.
She said, I loathe working with amateurs. Yeah, because Connie couldn't get the bottle open. She's like, Hecuba's having to tell her everything.
Yeah, and then Tabitha talking about Hecuba, she's like, listen, Grace Bennett is the one with amnesia, not I. You've been a pain in my keister since before Henry IV.
See, I'm glad you took the notes. Because I have one like Tabitha quip that I loved, and we'll get to it, but I rarely take these little one-liners down, but they are so good. They add a lot of like comic relief to the show.
Yes.
For sure.
They do stand out. That's why I write them down. I was like, that is nice. That's fun.
So Tabitha goes to the hospital to visit Charity. And when she gets there, Charity tells her, thanks her for saving her life. And she tells her, like, would you like to listen to the heart would you like to listen to Timmy's heart, basically? And so Tabitha listens to the heart. She gets very emotional about it. She's like, oh, my little Timmy, he's, part of him is still alive. His heart's still beating. And it was lovely. It's lovely to see the conflict for Tabitha at this point, because she's over here because she's supposed to be destroying Charity, right?
Yes.
But Charity has Timmy's heart inside of her. If she destroys Charity, she's destroying what's left of Timmy in this world. Yeah. And she just can't bring herself to do it. And so Charity thanks her for saving her life. She's like, if it weren't for you and for Timmy, then, me and Miguel can never repay you, or something like that. She says, we'll never forget what you did for me and Miguel. That's what she says. We'll never forget what you did for me and Miguel. And Tabitha says, he didn't get a piece of Timmy too, did he?
I even wrote that down. That was so good.
That was a good one.
That was so good.
I cracked up. He didn't get a piece of Timmy too, did he? Jeez, that was funny. But Charity explains that she means because they're gonna get married soon and they're gonna have this beautiful life together. And Tabitha gets emotional. She gets overcome with emotion and she leaves the room with Cracked Connie. By the way, she brings Cracked Connie with her to the hospital, carrying her around as a doll. I guess to keep her from opening Hecuba's bottle. God, I can't talk. I guess to keep her from opening Hecuba's bottle. So she had to get her away from the bottle. So she took her with her to the hospital. So the whole time, Connie's in doll mode, but she's also kind of talking to Tabitha the same way Timmy used to when he was in dog mode. Dog mode. Because I heard your dog barking at me. I said it's a dog. When he was in doll mode. So she is kind of telling Tabitha, hey, you don't go soft on us now, Tabitha. You need to take Charity out or we're all doomed, right? But Tabitha leaves the room. She's very conflicted since Charity has Timmy's heart. But Connie eventually manages to convince her that they need to destroy Charity. I do think they don't have to destroy Charity. Couldn't they just... How about we circle back to killing Miguel? Remember when that was the plan? Let's circle back to killing Miguel. Take him up out of here. But she decides she needs to destroy Charity. And she sees a little bit of that conversation that's going on with Kay and Miguel and realizes that they're having a very intense conversation about the fact that they have that they slept together. And she's like, bingo, I'm going to go get Charity out of bed, get her up walking so she will happen upon this scene. Well, what Charity happened upon is even worse than Tabitha could have, even worse than what Tabitha could have come up with, right? Or what she was planning, because she goes into Charity's room. Simone's there too. Simone's fucking there. Ugh. Yeah, just being annoying and constantly just berating on Kay. Like before Kay went to this conversation with Miguel, there was a moment, and I did write it because I wrote it, was when Simone was talking about her in chat, and she's like, Simone Harris, doesn't that sound amazing? And it's like, ew. That just sounds horrible, actually. Yeah. No. Yeah. Also, I'm going to say this, and this is off topic pretty much entirely, but I do not believe in changing your name when you get married. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm saying for me, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't change my last name because I didn't when I got married. Because why do the women have to get their social security card changed, get their credit cards changed, do all of this stuff? And then don't you even get your birth certificate? Don't you get your name on your birth certificate changed? I know you get your social security changed, but I don't know about your birth certificate. I don't know about birth certificate. But you have to do all of that. The man doesn't have to do shit. And then if it doesn't work out, you got to go through that whole process again, or keep the name of the man that you divorced. Yes, actually, it's an old archaic. Everything changes. Even the birth certificate? Changes? I believe so. You get a new birth certificate with your new last name, I believe. That's crazy. That's I just had a commitment ceremony with my partner, and we're actually, after, let's say, a handful more years is up, when there's not a certain somebody trying to change laws, then I will go about changing my last name, because I don't like my last name. So and see, that's the thing too. Some people don't like their last names. Yeah, but it comes from a time where women were owned property by the men. Yeah, because when they walk you down the aisle, it's like who gives this woman to this man? It's like, God. The father. There was a giving diary. Away the daughter. Like, please. Yeah. So anyway, all that to say, Simone, you should just stay Simone. What's her last name? Russell? It didn't feel right. I was like, Simone Russell? Because I feel like I say Whitney Russell. We never say Simone Russell. No, we don't. We don't consider her part of that family. Because it's Sugar Bear Russell. It's Sugar Bear Russell. That really rolls off the tongue, actually. Yes. So anyway, back to Kay, and we're off on a different storyline altogether. Back to Kay and Charity and Miguel and all of this shit with Tabitha. So Tabitha goes back to Charity's room and says, didn't your doctor tell you that you need to be getting up and moving around to make sure you get stronger, to help you get stronger? And she's like, yeah, the doctor did say I should probably go for walks and things. And so Tabitha's like, all right, let's get you up out of this bed. So she gets her up. They start walking around, and she leads her to where Kay and Miguel are like having this conversation. But when they get there, let's talk about what she sees. So when they get there, Kay and Miguel are still having this conversation, and Miguel says, I'm sorry, and I honestly never meant to hurt you. And he hugs Kay. And then she says to him, Miguel, can I just have one last kiss goodbye? And then she doesn't wait for him to consent, obviously, because she don't care about consent. But I will say Miguel did seem slightly uncomfortable about this, but he did not pull away. No. And then later he seemed
a lot more comfortable with it. Yeah, he was like caressing her arm, like he got a little into it.
But I do wonder if he was super into it, or if he was worried that he would hurt Kay further. And she does seem unstable, right? And maybe he was worried about hurting her and pushing her further away and into, but that's not an excuse, because he really should have just, I'm in love with Charity, get off of me, right? Like, push her face away.
Yeah. It's like, this will give mixed signals. Let me not engage with this.
He should have palmed her right in her face. He should have. The minute, because she's like, can you just give me one last kiss goodbye? And then she leans in and he should have been like, nope.
But he is feeling guilt, so it could have also been the guilt to make her feel better.
I think it's partially the guilt. I do. But he also, it's crazy because I go back and forth on Miguel on whether he has romantic feelings for Kay or not. But I do think he does. I mean, he said that they would have been together.
Yeah. You don't say that unless you have feelings for someone. You don't just by default just decide, I don't have a girlfriend, I'm going to hang out with my best friend and be there.
I guess I'll marry you. Yeah.
No one does that.
Yeah. Unless you're Luis.
Because that'll also be insulting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be. But that's kind of what Luis did to Beth, so.
Oh, true.
Yeah, but he was kind of telling Beth that he loved her and, they were together. They had a history.
Well, Kay and Miguel have a history.
But not in a relationship.
Yeah, that's true.
Luis and Beth were high school sweethearts.
That's true.
And we're going to get married.
That's true. You're right. All right. So, she asked for one last kiss. And then they make out. This is not some little last kiss. This is like they're really going at it in the middle of the hospital. And that's when Charity walks up, right? She walks in and she sees this. And she confronts these fucking cheaters, right? And she's like, asking Miguel, why were you kissing Kay? And before Miguel can even respond, Kay says, he was comforting me. Comforting you? And then she says that something happened that they've been keeping. She says, something happened that we've been keeping from you. And Miguel says, yes, Charity, it's time that you know what happened. Then Simone was here for no other reason than to do this stupid shit. Yeah. Simone butts in with her delusional ass, and she jumps in and says to Charity, oh, Charity, you shouldn't be moving around so much. You need to get back in bed. And a nurse comes up and it's like, yeah, you should be laying back down. But Charity's like, no, I want the truth, Miguel. I want to know.
I love your impression.
Instead of anybody telling her, Simone continues. Simone says, tells her that Miguel was just comforting Kay because she's just been so worried about you, Charity. And Kay didn't want to tell you this, but sometimes she's just been so upset. It's just too much for her to handle. And Miguel was doing what any good friend would do. He was trying to make her feel better. If that's how my boyfriend makes other bitches feel better, I don't want him.
No, not at all.
I don't want these. I don't want this. No.
Yeah.
Charity accepts this. She says, well, I guess. It's like, she says, well, Kay, you don't need to be upset because I'm going to be well enough to marry Miguel by Christmas. What about the fact that you saw them making out? What are you talking about? The explanation doesn't make any fucking sense. So you need to ask a follow-up question. What do you mean? What were you so upset about that he had to put his tongue down your throat?
Yes, exactly.
And how did it help?
Mm-hmm. How is that helping you?
How did it help? No follow-ups. None whatsoever. Charity accepts this, goes back to her room.
Willful ignorance, both her and Miguel. Willful ignorance.
Yeah. I did not get this at all. I didn't understand this at all. So she goes back to her room and Miguel doesn't follow Charity back to her room. Kay storms off and he's like, I'm going to go talk to, I think we really need to talk about this, Kay, as she's like trying to leave. And then Simone pulls him and tells him, you need to go be with Charity. I'll deal with Kay. I will deal with Kay. And so he goes back to be with Charity, and this next stupid scene ensues where he says, I'm sorry seeing me and Kay like that upset you so much. What kind of apology is that? I'm sorry that you seeing me. I'm sorry that you caught me kissing your cousin.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry that
it upset you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that it upset you that I was kissing your cousin. Not, I'm sorry I was kissing your cousin. I'm sorry you were upset by it.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Where's my boo? Where is it?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
This apology was whack as hell.
Horrible.
And then Charity responds with, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. No, it is not. It is far from okay. It is the opposite of okay. It is not. This is bad. You're always talking about the evil and stuff. Anyway.
That was evil.
That for sure. And then they're lying to you to your face.
Yes.
You saw what you saw. Everybody saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she says, it's okay. And then she says, but, our relationship is being threatened, but I don't know where the threat is coming from. You don't know where the threat is coming from? Baby, the call is coming from inside the house. Literally.
Inside the house.
Inside the house.
Your cousin, in fact, your boyfriend, because your boyfriend's kissing somebody.
Your boyfriend.
He's the one that has the commitment to you.
Your boyfriend. It was your boyfriend and your cousin.
Yes.
That's where the threat is coming from. Hello?
Yes.
Hello? Anybody at home? Anybody up there?
McFly,
They should have gave her
hello.
Timmy's brain too. Because this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah. McFly! Yeah, but yeah, she's like, something's threatening our relationship, but I don't know where the threat is coming from. Your powers suck.
Yes. Oh my God. You know what? At this point, Miguel, please fuck this girl so that she can stop being clueless.
Yeah,
please
do us all a favor. And so she says she don't know where the threat is coming from, and Miguel's like, nothing's trying to tear us apart. I'm sorry. Nothing's trying to tear us apart, Charity. There's nothing. And then she gets a premonition of this evil, and this was hilarious. It was them in like a black, with a black background, and they're like trying to get to each other, but there's this like CGI fire between them. And she's like, Miguel, and he's like, Charity. And yeah, they can't reach each other. And so she gets that premonition, and she's like, no, something's trying to tear us apart. I see it. I see the evil. It's trying to tear us apart.
It was black.
Yeah, well,
that's what pissed me off. She was like, I saw it. I didn't even see it. What the hell did you see?
I guess it was the fire.
Shadows.
I guess it was the fire. I guess. Yeah. Oh. It was just the fact that they're not connected is the evil. And so she just had this premonition that something is trying to tear them apart. She just saw him kissing her cousin passionately, I might add. And he tells her, nothing's trying to tear us apart. He says, that's not real. What you're seeing isn't real, right? And I can't think of anything that's trying to tear us apart. Nothing's trying to tear us apart. He looks over to the window, and it's Kay glaring through the window. As he tells Charity, there's nothing trying to tear us apart. You don't think Kay possibly is what that thing is?
She literally was telling you that she loves you and wants to be with you. That's tearing you and Charity apart.
Yeah. So to finish this, Tabitha catches up with Kay, and Kay just brings her up to speed on the conversation she had with Miguel. And she asks Tabitha for some advice, because Tabitha is like the one person who has known for a long time that Kay was in love with Miguel, and Tabitha has been encouraging her to go after Miguel, right? And so she brings her up to speed on the conversation, and she asks Tabitha for advice. And Tabitha tells her, I've always found honesty to be the best policy. I think the truth should come out. And Kay's like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to go tell Charity right now. I'm going to tell her that Miguel and I made love. So, yeah. Yeah, she says, I'm going to tell Charity that Miguel and I made love and he told me he loved me. I love that we're adding that in there too. Because yes, it's true, but he of course thought it was Charity. And it's only going to become a bigger thing the longer you wait to tell Charity. So yeah, because the longer you wait, the more it feels like you were trying to keep this from me.
And he said until after they get married. They're not even getting married until Christmas.
Yeah. So Simone tries to stop Kay from going, but then that's when the nurse comes in and tells her that Whitney was in an accident, and then we get all that stuff we talked about with her and Whitney and everything. But before she leaves, she tells Kay that if she tells Charity the truth, she's gonna not only will she not have Miguel as a boyfriend, but she's gonna lose Miguel as a friend. And so she needs to accept that Miguel and Charity are together if she wants to at least keep Miguel in her life in some capacity, which was, you know what, pretty solid coming from Simone for once, really.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to talk about that. Y'all have anything to add?
No.
All right. Y'all hanging in there?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so good.
Y'all hanging in there? We have been on this call for 4 hours. But we're nearing the end. We're going into the Shuis storyline. So let's go over to find out what's going on with these idiots.
Yeah, get that button ready about, this guy sucks, because we're going to be using that quite a bit.
This guy stinks. I'm trying to think what. Oh yeah. We're gonna be using it. All right. So, we pick up again with them at the elevator shaft, and it's after all of the hubbub has happened, right? And Antonio is like weak and sickly, and he's like leaning over and can barely stand up straight. And of course, Sheridan is concerned about him. It's like, are you okay? Maybe you need to sit down. And he says that it's just the dust. The dust got to me. Everybody else is walking around fine.
Yeah.
Everybody else is fine. It can't just be the dust, buddy.
Yeah.
And but then he's like, and the only thing that can cure what ails me is you, Sheridan. And then he kisses her as Luis watches on, much to his dismay. I feel really, oh my God, I feel so bad for Luis this whole week. I feel really bad for Luis. I felt bad for Luis for a while, actually. He's going through a lot. So he's watching her kiss him or him kiss her, whatever. And then Antonio is like, you know what I want to do? I want to go drive back up to the country tonight and get married. What time is it? What time is it?
And why is that the first thing you're thinking about? How about checking in on people who almost died?
Your sister. Your sister who you just saw for the first time after like 15 years, she almost fucking died. Maybe go check on her. Maybe, I don't know. Your sister.
He is so self-centered and it's all about him.
Everything's about him. I cannot stand this man. And so he says we can drive back up to the country tonight and get married tonight. Luis doesn't let Sheridan say anything, really. He's just like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And he's very forcefully says no, and you can't do that. And Antonio's like, why not, Luis? Why can't we? But Sheridan steps in here and covers, saying, after all this excitement, I'm sure Luis thinks everybody should just go home and get some rest and everything, right? And so the three of them, this throuple, go back to the cottage. And Sheridan and Luis have the same old conversation while Antonio's like off in the bedroom or something. Oh, he goes to get he goes to get in the shower.
The shower. Oh,
he goes to get in the shower.
But before that, he's like, all right, Luis, thanks for bringing us home. You can go now. And that's when Sheridan's like, no, he wants tea. We're gonna have tea, right? Let's have some tea.
Yeah.
You go take a shower.
For everything every 2 minutes, tea.
And the look that Antonio gives him, like, oh, fuck, this guy's still here. Shit.
Because he's been trying to get in Sheridan's pants for like 2 full days.
Oh, yeah.
And that should clue him off that this woman will not let you come near her.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Willful ignorance.
Willful ignorance, for sure. So, Antonio goes off to take a shower, and then Luis and Sheridan have the same conversation they've been having about Antonio. And Luis saying, we have to tell him the truth. This is so hard. I can't keep doing this. Sheridan saying, like, but he would die. I could kill him. I don't want to kill him. It'll be on my conscience. He's going to die. And then he calls for Sheridan from the bathroom. And so I imagine she thought he needed something. So she goes in there, and now Antonio knows Luis was supposed to be staying for tea. She goes in there, and he's like, get in, the water's fine. Come on, the water's great. And she's like, no, Luis is out there. We have company. And he's like, oh, Luis will understand. No, the fuck? Let me tell you right now. Now, God rest the souls of my siblings. But if I went to one of my siblings' house and I had just gotten there, it's not like I was staying the night or something like that. It's like I'm visiting. And then they go get in the shower. And then they tell their partner to come get in the shower with them. And then they have sex in the shower. I would be livid. Do you hear me? I would be disgusted. I
would not stay. I would be like, I'm seeing myself out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I wouldn't stay, but it also it's just like, that's so disrespectful. And so, like you said, Antonio doesn't care about anybody but himself and his own like selfish desires and his own like getting his fucking rocks off with Sheridan. That's all he cares about.
And she is saying no. He's still
no.
trying to force her into the shower.
Yes. This has been a recurring theme with him. She says no over and over again, and he presses the issue, and he keeps trying and does not listen to what she's saying.
No, because we know what Sheridan is like, wanting to get into the shower because she did it with Luis. When she got her memories back, she was all up in that shower. They wasn't even trying to have to force it.
No, she doesn't want Antonio anymore.
She doesn't
want Antonio anymore. And so she tries to get away from him, but she starts giggling, right? Because I think he like grabs her and like tickles her and gets her kind of wet. And she starts giggling. Luis hears that they're like very playfully going back and forth, and he's trying to get her in the shower, and he's very upset. And when Sheridan comes back out, he's headed out the door. And she says, Luis, where are you going? We're going to have tea, remember? And he says, no, this is all too hard for me. I can't do this anymore. And she's like, well, it's hard for me too, Luis. And Luis says, I don't think it is. And I do believe that this is hard for Sheridan. I know this is hard for Sheridan, right? But I fully understand why to Luis it seems like she's not having trouble with this at all, right?
Yeah,
it does. She was going to marry him, for God's sake.
Yeah,
she told Luis, I was gonna go through with the wedding. It's not bothering her as much as it bothers Luis. It's not. She's more concerned that Antonio might die. And listen, that's a valid concern. Apparently, right? That's a valid, if you really, 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 truly in your heart of hearts believe that not marrying this man or saying no to him will make him drop dead, then that is a big thing to have on your conscience. It is.
Yeah, it is. But if his own brother is willing to risk his death, then maybe you're a little off the hook.
Yeah. And as I have said before, I think all these people are very religious. And I just think it's very interesting that when it comes to this, all of a sudden, this isn't God's plan. All of a sudden, this isn't, we have to keep it from him. We have to lie and not tell the truth, even though all of these people are fairly religious.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. It's just, it does. I do see Luis's point. It does seem that he's having a harder time with it than Sheridan is. Like I said, she was going to marry him when she could have just said no. Yeah. That would not have killed him. And I will die on that hill. Okay. It would not have killed him if she just said very calmly, rationally, this isn't the kind of wedding I want. No, let's have lunch and go home.
And those are red flags that even Sheridan should have been like, maybe not this guy.
Maybe not this guy. But
the red flags are everywhere. Like, he does not care about Sheridan's feelings at all.
He doesn't care about her feelings. He does not listen to her when she tells him something, right? When she's saying no to him, he refuses to acknowledge it, basically, right? Like, he just ignores what she wants. And that's it's dangerous, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to make it get real dark and heavy, but that's an abuser tactic. So,
he makes me uncomfortable whenever he's around Sheridan. I feel uncomfortable because it's like having someone you don't like be on top of you all the time
and like touching you.
Yeah.
Touching you. Oh God. It's
and
such
it's
a
sad
violation.
because like she did love him and she was always with him, and Diana had a relationship. So I get him wanting to have that affection again, but how could he not notice that she's recoiling?
Yeah. He doesn't care.
Oh, that's
he does not care. And actually, very soon it's going to get even worse. So,
yeah.
And we've talked about this with Antonio too, where he, when he met her as Diana and was refusing to acknowledge her feelings around her dead lover, right? And anything she said about like her past, he would kind of negate or invalidate. But as if it served him, like with the Titanic thing, it's like, oh yeah, that's legit. That works. That works for me. But if it's anything where she's talking about, well, I had this other lover, he doesn't want to hear about it. He doesn't care about what, he doesn't care about her. He doesn't care about her.
He doesn't. He really
doesn't. He cares about possessing her. Yep. Look at us.
We said at the same time.
Yeah. He cares about possessing her. That's it. She's a plaything for him. So
she's the trophy wife. Especially after finding out that it's Sheridan Crane.
Right. She's not even a trophy wife, because that makes him her sugar baby. Right? She's her sugar. She would be his sugar mama.
And technically, the Lopez Fitzgeralds are not supposed to even like the Cranes.
Right. Right. But, Sheridan's different, they say. But so anyway, I'm going to finish this before 6:00. So let's do this.
Yes. I mean, I think we're on the last storyline.
Yeah, this is the last storyline. It's just a lot. Yeah. So Sheridan, Luis is leaving. Sheridan tells him, no, you were going to stay for tea. And he says, well, you seem busy with Antonio and I'm going to make this less hard for you. Because he says, this is all too hard for me. She says, it's hard for me too. And Luis doesn't believe her, saying, I don't think this is. You made it pretty damn clear how you feel today. You were all set to marry my brother, and you would have were it not for Liz and her phony little appendicitis attack. Not to mention the emergency at the Crane building. And he goes on to say that it didn't seem like you cared about me at all. All you cared about was if Antonio was okay during the elevator incident, but like my life was in danger too, but you didn't seem to give a shit about me. And then she says, that's not fair, Luis. I was terrified that something might happen to you. And he said, that's not how you acted. You just were there. He says, we're in the middle of an important conversation, and the minute my brother calls, you go off to run to see if he's okay. And then he says, it's obvious that you've chosen him. I'm leaving. It's over. It's obvious that you've chosen him. I was trying to talk to you about something important and you ran off to talk to him instead of me. You were going to marry him today. I can't do this. It's too hard. It feels like you've chosen my brother over me and I'm leaving. And I supported this. I did. Yeah. I did. I was like, okay, Luis. And the thing about Luis in these episodes, I want to make very clear that he didn't seem angry. He seemed to be like at the acceptance stage, right? Like where he was like, you know what? I just had an epiphany. This lady does not love me. She loves my brother. And maybe she does love me, but she loves my brother more. And she's made her choice. She's made her choice by showing me her actions. It's interesting because this is like the exact opposite of like how Theresa would handle it. Right? Because Theresa, well, you know what? I don't even want to bring Theresa into it. Actually, never mind. Never mind.
I was ready to dig.
No, it's just that, as I was talking about earlier, how actions speak louder than words. Mm-hmm. Even though Sheridan is telling Luis, no, I choose you. I love you. I don't want to be with your brother. Luis is seeing how she's acting towards his brother, and that's informing what he knows her feelings are, because we have to also remember that Luis and Sheridan know each other very well. Luis knows Sheridan. They are one of the few couples who have been together who spent real quality time together, and we've seen them spend a lot of real quality time together and seen their relationship blossom. That's part of the reason why we root for them so hard, and it's part of the reason why we hate Antonio so much, is because we see the difference between her relationship with Antonio versus her relationship with Luis, and how her relationship with Luis is based and rooted in who they are as people.
Yes, that because they hated each other in the beginning, and they learned to grow to love each other. Yeah, as opposed to Brian, who was just obsessed with this woman, and this woman who was trying to get over a dead lover that she just couldn't stop talking about, that annoyed him, even though the guy's dead. Like, the dynamic was so different.
Didn't even know her own name. Couldn't walk and carry a glass of water at the same time. But she remembered her dead lover. And I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, Antonio, their relationship is not real. It's not rooted in it. He fell in love, and I've said this before, he fell in love with Diana, and Diana fell in love with him. But we're talking about Sheridan Crane. It's just that right now she's putting on a real good act for Antonio. And Luis points out, Luis makes some more really good points. So he says, you know, you didn't act like you cared about me in the middle of that incident, and you walked away from me when I was trying to talk to you, to just go to talk to him. And before he tries to leave, and she says that she doesn't understand. She says, Luis, I don't understand where this is coming from. What do you mean you don't understand? He said it very clearly, right? And how do you misunderstand where this is coming from? How do you misunderstand where it's coming from? He's telling you, you've clearly chosen my brother over me. You were going to marry him. That's one portion I would always have to go back to, because all the other stuff, her like kind of making sure he was okay at the incident because she was worried about his illness or whatever. And even like, you know, the kissing and her trying to keep him off of her, all of that, I could give Sheridan a pass on. She was going to marry him. That's huge. That's massive. And yeah, so, and she said it to Luis out of her mouth. Like, even if you were going to go through with it, lie.
Serious, or at least say, don't worry, he's going to die anyway.
Yeah.
I'll be a widow in no time. We'll be fine.
I would, like, what I wished because, you know, she had to like sign that wedding license or whatever. I was hoping she signed it like Diana or something. Right. Yeah. So when Luis did show up, she was like, this isn't legal. I didn't really sign that. Right.
Exactly.
Easy. But
no, she really was going to do it.
Yeah. She was really going to go through with it. So,
and she knows that getting married to him would have immediately led to honeymoon sex.
Ugh, good.
And like,
God
how would
forbid.
she be able to get out of that one?
Yeah, they were already at a hotel. Like they were getting married at a hotel or an inn, the Greystone Inn. But yeah. So she tells him, I don't understand where this is coming from. And he says, you know, I can tell that in your heart, you've chosen Antonio. And, you know, I'm just going to let you get back to your life with him. I'm just going to let you get back to your life with Antonio. He's very calm about all of this. He's just accepted it. And meanwhile, Antonio keeps like yelling from the shower for Sheridan. Sheridan, come in here. I just cannot stand him.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So then Sheridan gives a speech about how the reason she wasn't concerned about Luis during the elevator incident is because he's a trained professional and Antonio's a weak, sickly man. And then she says, you know, you can handle yourself. Remember when you swung us out on that cable at the hotel in Paris when Roger and Pierre were after me? And then they kind of like reminisce about that. They do like the little think back and they smile like, yeah. And Luis says to her, that makes sense, but I think there's more going on here than you worrying about his health. You love him. And we need to face that. And Sheridan tries to convince him that she loves him and not Antonio. But I think Luis is actually on to something here. I think she does love Antonio. I don't think she loves him as much as she loves Luis. I don't think she wants to marry him. I don't think she wants to live the rest of her life with him. I don't think she's in love with him. But I do think she loves him.
Oh, yeah, because Diana loved him. And she is Diana.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I do think she loves him. So Luis is definitely on to something here. Sheridan's not ready to admit it. And I think that's the reason why Luis is like, he says we need to face that, but Sheridan refuses to face it. And I think maybe if Sheridan was able to say to him, I do love your brother, but nowhere near how much I love you. I do love your brother, but it pales in comparison to the love I have for you and what I want for you. And not only that, I'm choosing you. I think it would have made a difference. She did not say that.
Nope. She
denies it. She says, no, I don't love Antonio. I love you. And Luis is like, you know what? This isn't your fault, because she starts to apologize. Like, I'm so sorry. It's just that your brother, he's sick. And he says to her, you know, it's not your fault. It's mine. I'm the one who is continually pushing you to dump Antonio. But the only reason I was doing that was because I thought you loved me. And obviously I was wrong. Now, I will say he laying it on a little thick here. You know, Sheridan loves you. It's just a question of, does she also love Antonio? I do agree with that portion, but for him to look at her and be like, obviously you don't love me. And I do feel like it's just that Luis isn't feeling loved at this moment, but he knows that she loves him, right?
Yeah. He just wants her to love him enough to kill his brother.
Yeah. So, he tells her, you know, we've had so many chances to tell Antonio the truth, and now I know why you kept stopping me. It's because you love Antonio. And he says, it's true. Look, when you had amnesia, you met Antonio. You fell in love with him. You moved on with your life. And then Sheridan says, well, you did the same thing with Beth. Bad call, girl. You should have left that where it was, because Luis says, yeah, I did. But the difference is when you came back, I went straight to Beth and told her that you were back. I loved you and I needed to be with you. And it was over between me and Beth. Like, it was over between him and Beth in 10 seconds flat.
10 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's a huge, like, double.
I mean, it was fucked up the way he did it, but
he had to do what he had to do.
Yeah,
he did break up with Beth
and never look back.
So Beth's not a factor here, right?
No.
Antonio still is a factor. Beth's not a factor in this, because in Luis's mind, he's broken up with Beth. Now we all know Beth is trying to get him back and is to employ her techniques, but he did do the thing. He did what he was supposed to do. And so he says, yeah, no, I broke up with Beth. You didn't do that. And Sheridan's like, well, but this is different. Antonio is sick. And I do agree, it is a different scenario, but why aren't we brainstorming ideas here? Mm-hmm. Why are we just doing, oh, let's go along with what Antonio thinks? And also, not to mention, not to defend Antonio too much or even say anything positive about Antonio, but I have to say this. It is not fair to Antonio that, one, nobody's telling him what his real diagnosis is. He has no fucking clue that he's sick, even though, frankly, he should have a clue because he keeps fainting every 3 seconds.
And he went blind. That's not normal.
No, not at all.
He went blind, for God's sake. So you would think he would buy a vowel and get a clue and get a second opinion other than Eve Russell, because she obviously had fucked something up.
Yeah.
Because you cannot walk 20 feet without getting dizzy. And you're supposed to be a healthy man.
And that any upset would kill him. Well, you know, his sister just experienced a very traumatic experience. Isn't that upsetting?
Well, and you know what? Luis says this, and I love this. He was like, well, he didn't say it here. He said it to Beth. But basically later on, he says to Beth, I think everybody's blowing this whole sickness thing out of proportion. 100%. 100%. Because like to your point, Maria, he has been through several, at this point, kind of shocking and harrowing experiences since he had that accident. And specifically today with the elevator. Yeah, his sister almost died. Wasn't that shocking?
Apparently not enough.
Apparently not. Somehow his sister falling, I don't know, 70 feet down an elevator shaft is not shocking enough to kill him, but Sheridan saying, I don't want to elope in a ambush wedding would make him drop
Kill
dead.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of tracks because I don't think Antonio cares about anybody anyway.
He doesn't. He clearly doesn't give a shit about his family.
Yeah.
He clearly doesn't give a shit about his family. Actually, you know what? Let's sit here for a second too. He clearly doesn't give a shit about his family, because the fact that he even is willing to elope after being gone for like 15 years, your mom just got you back, is so incredibly selfish. He does not care about his family at all.
His reason for even leaving was selfish. Leaving was selfish.
Not calling. What'd you say,
Not
Kelly?
calling.
Kelly, what'd you say?
Oh, I said absolutely selfish, leaving in the first place.
Yeah, leaving in the first place. And then the fact that he never called, never sent a postcard, never sent a letter, never contacted his own mother, whom he knew was worried about him, concerned about him.
Lighting a candle every
he's
day.
A piece of shit.
Oh,
He really is.
brother, this guy stinks!
He's such a piece of shit. Hell, I don't know why I stopped there to talk shit about Antonio.
No, well, he takes after his father.
He does take after his father, for sure. So Luis tells her, because she says, you know, this is different. Antonio is sick. And he says, no, Sheridan, I think there's something deeper here. And I accept it. He says, rather than fight a losing battle, I'm going to give you what you want because I love you too much not to see you happy. And Luis says, what part of I want you, not your brother, do you not understand? But Luis says, I'll even go to the wedding. He says, and no, I won't cause a scene. All I ask is that you save one last dance for me. Yeah. And he really is. Part of me wonders.
Sound. That deserves Shuis sound.
It does. Let me see if I can find it. Part of me does wonder, although I don't think this is in Luis's character. I don't. But this also feels like a tactic to push Sheridan to tell Antonio the truth. Because it works, right? She's going to tell him the truth after this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And it does feel, and maybe I just feel like it's a tactic because it works. As you know, she does decide I have to tell him the truth, and it really does push her to the brink. But part of me wonders, because we just talked about how Luis and Sheridan really do know each other really well. Part of me does wonder if Luis knew that him really breaking it off with her would light a fire under her ass to break things off with Antonio, right?
I think he just has a little bit more self-respect.
Yeah.
to then constantly be hanging around like that. You know, I mean, I think he's just like, I can't look, I broke up with Beth and I'm just gonna break up with you.
That's true. Because it's not in Luis's character. Luis is not a schemer.
No.
Luis, he's not a thinker. Let's be frank.
No. And we all know he would be at Sheridan and Antonio's wedding because Antonio would have demanded he be the best man.
Ugh, good God. Yeah. So, okay. So I'll take that back. But it worked. It worked as a tactic, even if he didn't mean it that way. Because he tells her, you know, I'll ask you save one last dance for me. She starts crying. She's sobbing. She's so upset. And she says, don't talk like that. I'm not going to be with Antonio. I'm going to be with you. And Luis says, Sheridan, you have had dozens of chances to be with me, but you aren't. Even now, when you talk about Antonio, you aren't saying that you don't love him, because you do. He says, I see it in your eyes when you look at him. I see it in your concern for him. Sheridan, you're sacrificing our love to make sure that nothing happens to him. You're making him happy instead of making me happy. And I was like, that's not true. Antonio is sick. And she is upset. Like, this is upsetting. I know I'm like kind of making light of it, but I did feel very bad for Sheridan. Even though she could say no, I do also understand why she feels so guilty. You know, yeah. I do.
And Pilar doesn't help.
Pilar doesn't help. And unfortunately, she fucking shows up later.
She does.
Oh, she's not terrible. She's not too bad this week.
Yeah.
I don't have
because it was just a little bit. She had to leave. She didn't last that long.
She had to leave because she found out about Theresa falling down the elevator shaft.
Yeah, exactly.
But
if not, she would have been staying there like, you can't tell Antonio, you can't kill my son.
Yeah, but they have it out. Sheridan says, you know, Antonio is sick, and he says, Sheridan, please. We've been through this. We have been through this so many damn times. I can't do it anymore. You're going to be with Antonio, and that's okay. That's it. End of story. End of us. And then Luis gets a phone call from Beth, who has created a leak under her sink for him to come and fix. He got to come and clean her pipes. He got to come in.
Oh, she wants to empty his pipes.
Yeah, he got to come in. He got to come and do some plumbing over there, right? And so, because that's her ploy, she's trying to get him over there to have sex with him. So he gets a call from Beth saying, like, can you please come over and fix this? Like, I don't know what to do. This is when Antonio gets out of the shower naked, just nothing but a towel, comes out into the living room and like is standing behind Sheridan, puts his arms around her. Sheridan is sobbing. I want to be clear.
Does not even look at him. She has her back to him the whole time.
And she's crying. She's like shaking. She's trying to like hide it, but you can't hide that from people. But guess who doesn't notice? Who doesn't see, doesn't realize how truly upset. Like just the energy alone in that room, he doesn't pick up on it. Antonio, of course, because he comes out there and starts just putting his hands all over her. He's like standing behind her and he's like kissing her neck and like rubbing her shoulders while she's crying. She's sniffling. She's wiping tears away. He doesn't acknowledge it in the least. And I get it that her back is turned to him, so I guess we're supposed to believe that he can't see it. But if I'm standing behind somebody and they're going sniffling and wiping tears, I'm going to maybe go around to the front like, are you okay? Are you crying? Are you all right? Right?
Yeah.
No, Antonio is just like, Luis, you're still here. I want to have sex with her. Get out, basically. And Luis is like, no, I was just leaving. I was just telling Sheridan to leave, save a dance for me at your wedding. And Antonio was like, yeah, our wedding. Just think, soon I'll be married to the woman of my dreams. And Luis, this was just so corny in passions, but I liked it. Luis, under his breath, is like, yeah, the woman of my dreams. And then Antonio was like, you mean the woman of my dreams, right? He was like, yeah, right. And Luis exit. He leaves. He really does leave her in shambles. Sheridan is in shambles at this point. And and Antonio just doesn't notice. He doesn't care. And then he starts making things really weird. He gives a really long, weird speech. I didn't write it down. I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to give y'all the gist. And the weirdness in the speech was, he was like, yeah, you're going to be my wife and we're going to get married. And Sheridan, it feels so good to know that you love only me and that you have forsaken all other men for me. Those are the words he used. It feels so good that you have forsaken all other men for me. Who talks like that?
Nobody. He needed to end that speech with, I cannot wait to become Antonio Crane.
Yes. He needs to take her name for sure.
Speaking of last names, he wants to be kept.
He does. He does want to be kept. He does. Because they have never had the same kind of conversations that Luis had with Sheridan about, like, because Luis is very clear that he doesn't really want to live on Crane money, right? Like he's like, would you be okay living on a cop's salary and blah, blah, blah. They've had that conversation. Antonio's like ready to live the high life with Sheridan. He's already been giving away her money.
But he moved into her cottage without even asking her. He's like, I guess this is where I'm staying.
Yeah, ooh, this is nice.
I
know. This is nice. Yeah, so yeah, he sucks. Anyway, Sheridan's in shambles. He doesn't notice it. And she starts to break down after he gives that weird long speech about how they're going to be married and she's forsaken all other men for him. And she says, this is too much. This is just too much. She's crying. I can't do this anymore. I just can't. This has gone on too long. I'm going to lose the love of my life. These are the words she's saying out loud. Out loud. I'm going to lose the love of my life. I'm going to lose the man that I love. God, I can't do this anymore. This is tearing me apart. I can't lie to you anymore, Antonio. I have to tell you the truth. I have to tell you that whole fucking speech, right? I have to tell you the truth. Antonio is confused. Antonio is confused. And then he says, now, Frank, you heard what the lady just said. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to lose the love of my life. I'm going to lose the man that I love. I can't do this anymore. This is tearing me apart. I can't lie to you anymore, Antonio. Oh, you know what I just realized that they're going to do here? Because I was like, how are they going to get Sheridan out of this? But I think they're going to break the news to him that he's sick.
That's what
it
I'm
just
saying.
Occurred to me.
And that'll make, because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, wait, he can easily interpret no, you're not going to lose me. I'm not going to die or anything. And her being like, no, you actually are going to die.
It just occurred to me that that's where this is going, because this speech in the actual context, there's no other way to take this really beyond like Antonio being like, what is going on? What do you mean you're going to lose the love of your life? And you're saying you can't lie to me anymore.
That's the kicker. Everything else can be explained away of like, no, I was talking about the fact that you're like really sick, you're gonna die. But the lying, I mean, then again, I guess that's part of the cover up.
Yeah, I think that's how they're gonna cover it up, because she is saying like, I can't lie to you anymore, and they are lying about his diagnosis, right? So I'm so mad that I just realized that that's exact. Well, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what's happening here. So unfortunately, so Antonio's confused. She is in shambles. She's crying. She's saying all of these things about how she can't lie to him anymore. He's confused. But then he also says to her, after she just said all that, well, I don't see what's wrong. Things are exactly the way they're supposed to be. This lady won't let you come near her. She's sobbing. She's saying, I can't lie to you anymore. I have to tell you the truth. You can't possibly be serious when you say things are the way they're supposed to be. This can't possibly be the way things are supposed to fucking be. It's not the way things are supposed to be.
Willfully obtuse.
This is how you want to be? This is how you want to live? She's clearly sad and upset, won't let you come near her, recoils at your touch.
Doesn't want to seem to spend time alone with him.
Yeah. So she tells him this is all about Luis. So this is where we can kind of diverge from what I just said about like, maybe they're going to tell him that he's sick or whatever. That's how they're going to get past this. But what does Luis have to do with it? Right. So she says, this is all about Luis. And that's why I have to tell you the truth. Pilar knocks on the door.
Of course she does.
And she interrupts. It's not her fault. She didn't know what was going on. She just showed up to check on her kid. Fair enough. Her sick kid, right? So Pilar shows up and Antonio goes to like make some tea, and Sheridan explains everything that has happened between her and Luis and how he broke up with her and everything, right? And Pilar, of course, is like, you know, I'm worried about my son, and you know it's a risk if you tell him it could kill him. But she does say that it's for the best. Antonio needs to know. She does say that. So I'm going to give Pilar a pass this week. And Sheridan tells Pilar, you know, I'm planning to tell Antonio the truth. I have to. I'm going to tell him the truth. She says, but I want to tell him in a controlled environment so he can get medical care if anything goes awry. And I was like, okay, see, yeah. We were in the hospital. We could have done it then.
Give him the sedative.
Give him the sedative. Give him the sedative. Tell him the truth. Bing, bang, boom, it's over.
Yeah.
Pilar doesn't like it, but she says that he should know the truth, so I'll give her that. And then this is when Sheridan explains to her about the elevator incident and how she was worried about Antonio then, and Pilar's like, Theresa fell down an elevator shaft. Is she okay? She's like, yeah, I think she's at the hospital.
Yeah.
And so Pilar leaves and goes to the hospital. And this is when Antonio comes back and he's like, okay, so now what is it that you wanted to tell me? And she's like, I just need to change first. We need to find Luis and then I can tell you. Why do we need to find Luis? Come on, pick up what's being put down, Antonio. Put something together. Put one puzzle piece together. Figure it out. Actually, the puzzle has been put together. There's just two pieces left for you to put in and you can't figure it out.
No.
You can't figure it out.
Because he doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to. He wants his puzzle left unfinished, which I hate an unfinished puzzle.
Yeah. That's random.
Well, over Christmas, over like the New Year and Christmas and everything, I really got into doing clear puzzles. I love them. Actually, do I have? Yeah, here they are. I love these clear puzzles. So I have 3. There's only 2 in this box, but they have clear pieces. Sorry, the ADHD is winning.
It's
the
okay.
ADHD is winning today.
Okay.
But look, the pieces are clear, so it's like hard. It's very, very hard, and
that is hard.
It's extremely hard. And I was doing this like going between like my mom's house, my dad's house, and my grandma's house. And I lost one piece and didn't realize it until I was done. But yeah, this one was really fun because it had like jagged edges, whatever. 2 times this happened to me that I finished the damn puzzle and realized I was missing one piece. Unfinished puzzles piss me off. Anyway, so that kind of cured me of doing puzzles because I was like, I keep losing one piece. I keep losing the one piece. Anyway. Sorry, I went off on a tangent about puzzles. Where were we?
You can't put 2 and 2.
Yeah, she says, "Wait, I have to change because Antonio wants to know rightfully what's going on. What's wrong? What is this news you need to tell me?" And she's like, "Wait, I need to change, and then we need to find Luis, and then we can tell you." If I'm Antonio, I'm demanding an answer right now, girl. You were sobbing, and what does Luis have to do with it? And frankly, why can't you call Luis? Call him. Why we have to go find him?
Exactly. And also it's in Antonio's character to just be like, nah, fuck that. You're gonna go change? That means you're gonna be naked? We're gonna go fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck Luis.
Fuck Luis. No, fuck me.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm surprised he didn't follow her to get changed just so he could see her naked again.
He probably wanted to.
Yeah.
I can't stand him. I can't stand him.
No.
So let's talk about Beth and what's going on at her house. Beth is at home having the same old conversation with Edna. Edna's being very abusive, and Beth is being abusive back, and they're just in their toxicity, living in their comfortable toxicity. Beth calls Edna a whore and talks about how she doesn't even know who her dad is. And Edna taunts her about how she'll never be with Luis. It's just the usual fare, right?
I forgot how unhinged Edna was.
Oh,
yeah.
She is gross. I yes, Beth is. I I struggle with Beth because
I don't know either.
I struggle with Beth because up until this point, specifically this week, what she did this week, up until this point, I was like, yeah, you know what? I get where Beth's coming from. I'm not really mad at her because Luis keeps involving her in shit and hasn't broken up with he broke up with her, but he hasn't like told Antonio. And so Antonio keeps calling her when he could very easily just like remove Beth from the entire equation, but he hasn't done that.
Nope.
And so because he's not removing Beth from the equation and keeping her hanging on, and let's be clear, Luis kind of uses her as an emotional crutch. He leans on her.
Very true. Very true.
So, and that is not fair to Beth. So up to this point, I was like, yeah, you know what, Beth, what else do you expect Beth to be doing in this situation? Besides,
she also
trying to
knows that if Sheridan's not around, it's all about her. So keep Sheridan with Antonio. She'll have a shot.
Yes, exactly. So up till now, it's like, yeah, okay, it's making sense, right?
Yeah.
With the exception of the birth control thing, I hated that. But tonight she's going back and forth, and she tells Edna that basically, you know, she says like they say that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, but I think it's a little lower than that. And so she says sleeping with him basically will make him fall in love with her.
The magic vajayjay again.
I said,
that's a current theme of this show.
Girl, I got bad news for you if you think that's gonna work.
And she has already slept with him, so it's not like it's their first time. He knows what it's like to be with her.
It's not new.
Yeah, exactly. It's not new.
It's not new and exciting. And yeah, so she it's the same logic as Kay, right? Like once he sleeps with me, but like you just said, they've already slept together, so it's just it's whatever. It's a Hail
But I
Mary.
love the quip between her and her mother, because Beth is like, oh, you're the biggest whore in history of harmony. And Mrs. Wallace is like, I was friendly to those in need.
Yeah.
That was
And Beth is like, you were a slut who saw more back seats than people who assemble cars. I don't even know who my father is, and neither do you.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm glad
that
you
was
took
just
that down.
so funny.
I'm glad you took it down. I like a lot of Beth and Edna's dialogue is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's toxic as hell, but it's funny.
Very.
It's funny. And so yeah, Beth has created this like plumbing problem. She calls Luis after she goes like back and forth with Edna for a little bit, and because she plans to get him over there and have sex with him. Now, there's a portion of this plan where we realize, oh, she's not just trying to seduce Miguel. Not Miguel. Well,
I mean,
these Lopez Fitzgerald babies, they just keep getting plied with something and then taken advantage of, right? Because that's what Beth wants to do now, is that we find out her plan is to like get him drunk, basically, but it's even worse than that. So she calls Luis, and Luis heads over there. I just want to say this portion where Beth says that her plan is to like basically sleep with Luis. Edna calls her a wicked, wanton whore. And then Beth says, call me names till you're blue in the face, but I'm not going to rest until I'm Mrs. Luis Lopez Fitzgerald. And there is nothing that you or heaven can do to stop me. Because at one point she said, Beth was like, I'm willing to that's what made Edna say, called her a wicked, wanton whore. It's because Beth says, I'll make a deal with the dark side if I have to get him back. Ooh. Yeah, and that's when Edna's like, wicked, wanton whore. And she's like, nothing you or heaven can do to stop me. Call me all the names you want to. And so Luis shows up. Beth sets her plan into motion. She asks him, like, do you want a beer? And he's like, that would be great. And we learn that he hasn't eaten anything, so he's going to be drinking on an empty stomach. He's like, I can only take beer right now because I haven't eaten anything, and anything heavier would probably get me too drunk. Well, she pours the beer into a mug, right? A big glass. And then she pours like some brandy in it. I don't know. It was brown liquor. She pours that in there. Then she takes one of her mom's like pills, which I imagine was a sleeping pill.
I think
did she say it was Percocet? Oh, that's funny because I joked about Percocet earlier. And she actually crushes up this Percocet and pours it into his drink and mixes it in. Oh my God. Yeah, a perk. Oh, a perk is with alcohol.
With alcohol too.
Oh my God.
I mean, she is not playing.
Yeah. So
she wants to knock him out.
She spikes his drink and drugs his drink and then takes it to him and he starts to drink it. And Luis tells Beth about all the things that had just transpired between him and Sheridan and that their relationship is over. He tells her the relationship is over. And this is when he says, you know, I think that medical condition excuse is everybody's blowing it out of proportion. And Beth's like, well, you know, I'll always be there for you, Luis. Whatever you need, I'll be here. And he's like, thank you, Beth. It's lovely, whatever. Edna and Beth argue about Luis again, some more back and forth. Luis had gone, I think, to the kitchen, and Edna and Beth were like in the living room or whatever. So they're like arguing. And then Edna starts yelling for Luis. It's like, Luis, Luis. And Beth puts her hand over her mouth and is like holding her so she can't, trying to keep her from making noise. And Luis comes in. He's like, what the hell's going on here? It looks like you were attacking your mother. But Beth, of course, is like, no, mother's so stubborn. She needs to take her medicine or she might end up paralyzed. Isn't that right, mother? Ooh, wow. Sinister.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a threat. That was definitely a threat.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Indirects.
Yeah. So Edna takes the hint and leaves. And Beth starts to like cry. He's like, I didn't know taking care of your mother was so hard for you. And so she's like crying. She's like, it's just so tough. It's so, you know, whatever. Turned on the waterworks for Luis's benefit. So he consoles her. He finishes his first beer. And then they share in a very awkward kiss because Luis is like fucked up. Like he's getting very loopy. And so Beth leans in to kiss him and she kisses him and it was their kiss was very awkward.
It looked like a drunken kiss.
And so she's kissing him. It is at this moment that Antonio and Sheridan show up to Beth's house, right? Because Sheridan knew exactly where Luis had gone, so she goes over there to find him. She gets there and can see Luis and Beth kissing through the window. Sheridan gets extremely upset. Sheridan's like, no, I can't believe this. She starts crying. Then Beth notices her standing outside the window and decides to kind of put on a show, right? And she grabs Luis and pulls him onto her. And she's like, oh, Luis. And like, she puts on a little show. Sheridan runs away, right? And Luis is like half conscious and he realizes, he's like, what is going on? And he gets up and he's like, oh my God, Beth, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I shouldn't be trying to take advantage of you like this. He thinks that he's the assailant.
Yeah.
Oh, good God.
I mean, but he doesn't know. So, and he's the one on top of her. So he's probably thinking that he is, like, he's probably thinking that he's projecting his feelings onto her of what he wants to do with Sheridan.
Yeah, and he says like, what happened? I can't remember. Like, he doesn't even realize they started to kiss. He doesn't remember. Like, he's starting to lose his memory and his consciousness. And so anyway, Beth tells him like, no, don't worry about it. It's fine. And she offers him another beer and he's like, no, I don't think I should. That first one really got me. And I think because I haven't eaten, but she's like, but I want to have a drink and I don't want to drink alone. Don't make me drink alone. And so he's like, okay, one more beer. She gets another beer, pours more liquor into it and spikes it with another pill. You can't give this man another fucking Percocet. He's going to die.
Yes.
He's going to die. You can't do that. You gave him one 5 minutes ago.
I mean, it's not like she's a doctor, so
I know it's not like she's a doctor, but I think we all know. I think we all know you shouldn't be taking high dosages of prescription drugs because it's
with alcohol.
Because it's probably very bad for you. It's probably not great for your insides.
Yeah.
So she spikes another drink, gives it to him, says bottoms up, hands it to him. Doesn't drink her drink, makes him drink the whole thing, right? And then her mother comes out and says, and it's like, I got to do something. I got to stop this wanton whore. I have to do something. And so Edna's like, comes out and she's like, you know what, Bethy? I have heartburn. So it seems like I'm going to be sitting out here with you guys all night because I can't sleep like this. And Beth says, you know what, Mother? I'm going to go to the store and get you some antacid. That way you can go to bed and you will be able to sleep, right? And so Louise is like, well, I would drive you, but I don't think I can drive. And she's like, it's okay. You just lay right down here. So she lays him down on the couch and then she leaves. And so let's catch up with Sheridan. Sheridan, after seeing Beth and Louise kissing, Sheridan runs off. Antonio runs after her, asking her, like, what happened? What's going on? But she tells him, I'm too upset to talk about it. I'm too upset to talk about it. So she won't tell him what's going on. Mm-hmm. But he should at least have picked up a couple of context clues. She got really upset. Oh, because he saw them kissing too, right? Yeah. Like Sheridan saw it. Sheridan saw it. He saw how upset it made Sheridan. And he says to Sheridan, why is that bothering you? It's just Louise and Beth kissing. So he saw that it clearly upset her. He knows it upset her because he asked her, why is that upsetting you? And then she runs off crying and tells him, I'm just too upset to talk about it. If you add that, multiply by 10, carry the 1, carry the 2. Mm-hmm. Hello, she does not love you. If you add that to the fact that just 10 minutes ago, she was saying, I have to tell you something. I can't lie to you anymore. Antonio, I can't lie to you anymore. This has to do with Louise. Come on, man. Come on,
and you're upset seeing him with Beth, obviously.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to see it. Or he sees it, but wants to ignore it.
Yes. Add 1 plus 1 and divide. Come on. So he's dumb. He can't figure it out why she's upset. She says she refuses to talk to him. Gwen walks past. She realizes, yep, Gwen shows up.
My girl.
And they have almost a reverse conversation of the conversation they had before, right? Where she's now giving Sheridan the same advice that Sheridan had given her.
And she thanked her for giving her that advice because that's when she then reveals that Ethan is not marrying Theresa. He is still with me. And you were right. And I'm glad I talked to him.
Yeah. And so Gwen sends Antonio to like the car or whatever. Yeah. And so they have an honest, open conversation. Sheridan explains everything that has gone on and that she saw Louise kissing Beth. And Gwen tells her, one thing I know is that Louise loves you. So she gives her some really solid advice and says, do not give up on Louise until you talk to him the same way you told me, right? And but Beth, who has gone out to get the antacids, overhears this conversation, right? And so Gwen is encouraging Sheridan to go back to Beth's house. And Beth says to herself, that's right, Sheridan, come back to my house because this time you're going to get an even bigger surprise. Louise and I just won't be kissing. We're going to be making mad, passionate love. And that's the end. That's where we ended. Woo, we did it. I got it done before 6 o'clock.
Yes, you did.
5 hours. We've been on the Zoom for 5 hours because reminder to out there listeners, this was a double episode, right? So
yes,
we started it and I'm just going to cut it up. So cut it into 2, but this was so fun.
It really, really was.
It was.
Yeah. So Maria, where can the people find you?
On the Discord.
On the Discord. Same thing. I know Kelly also said that she doesn't want to share her social media I don't either. So, so remember, you can find me on the patreon.com/passions podcast. And if you sign up for the Patreon, you can get on the Discord with us. So, yep, do that.
Which I will be doing eventually.
Yeah. So, because Kelly's a patron, but she has not been on the Discord yet. So we're trying to get it figured out. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. But
yes.
But that's it, y'all. With that, you are my passion for life.